And I was only, 8 years old, so my perception was a child's perception, but still, it just sounded like this great, wonderful, amazing thing that we're going to be coming into.
The challenge of being a young and new person in a new place has always existed, right, for immigrants from the beginning of immigration. But I think today it's harder and becoming harder than ever because of everything that's happening and all that's being said about immigrants and about immigration.
Any killings, murders, crime, drugs pouring across the border, our money going out and the drugs coming in. And I said, we need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
In 2014, the issue of child immigration made national headlines.
Waves of unaccompanied children, 52,000 of them so far, and at the same time, moms from Central America hand-carrying their children across the border.
This documentary was inspired by the waves of children who fled to the United States recently from Central America. But this issue is much broader than just that one incident. Immigration has become a major issue in the 2016 elections, and it is important that we explore and discuss how we treat all children who immigrate to this country, whether legally or illegally. Coming to a new country as a child is a difficult experience.
The life that they face, it might be better than what they left, but it's certainly not easy, right? So for the most part, they're fighting for their chance to stay here. They're in removal proceedings. They're detained. They're put in detention facilities, which are jails. The government attempts to reunite them with family members, but sometimes they're family members whom they've never met, who they don't know, even parents who they don't know.
My parents, there was no way that they could afford 4 plane tickets to come to the US. They had to sell almost everything that they owned related to the farm. So like all their equipment, like tractors, plows, all sorts of things. They sold all of that. They sold all the cattle, all the animals, all the grains. They sold everything. So in the event that we came here and things didn't work out and we had to move back, we had nothing. So they took a really huge risk.
Christina is an immigrant from Poland. She came to America legally with her family when she was very young, but still faced many struggles to adapt to her new home.
With the little English that I knew in 2nd grade, I knew that I was being picked on. Kids would try to get me in trouble for things that I didn't do. Although I don't speak English or didn't speak English at the time, I'm not stupid. I can tell when somebody's talking about me. It's really hard when you're in school and, especially high school where everybody's trying to fit in.
These children are they have to go to school, right? That has to happen. And so they're put into school and they don't speak the language and have to learn and figure this all out. And they're strangers. They're strangers to everyone. They don't speak the same. They don't look the same. They don't eat the same foods. They're newcomers to the school, to the city, to the country.
I suffered from depression for a really long time. I'm doing great right now, and I've done a lot of therapy, and I didn't feel like I was good enough. I felt worthless, and as I think back to my childhood, a lot of people in my life made me feel that way.
You have this kind of, rhetoric and this growing feeling that's a little racist, a little xenophobic, or maybe a lot xenophobic. And kids are absorbing that too because they're listening to their parents or they're listening to the news and they're listening to the radio and they're seeing the things that people are saying.
If I was a kid, I would be like, hey, let me help you out, come hang with us, it's okay. But kids don't do that, and they try to put you down and make you feel like you're less than, which is sad.
On top of struggling being accepted by their peers, Immigrant children can learn the language faster than their parents and find themselves taking on important family responsibilities from a young age.
I was 9, 10 years old. You know, my English was probably, a 3rd, 4th grade level, maybe not even. And my parents were taking me places and making me translate and fill out forms, and I had no idea what was going on. But they didn't either, and I knew more than they did.
And so that sounds okay, that's fine, but having to translate means having to say things to your parents that you wouldn't be normally saying because you're translating a doctor's questions, for example. Having to translate, having to hear things about your parents that you typically wouldn't hear. And it also can be belittling for the parent, right, who's having to tell a doctor their symptoms through their young child.
So it's both a blessing and a curse because it makes you, a really strong and independent person, and you learn a lot, but then you don't get to have that normal childhood. So, and speaking to my friends and other people who have immigrated, that seems to be kind of what happens. The oldest or whoever learns English first has the role of taking care of everything. With that said, I'm grateful for all of those experiences. Even though it felt like I was going through hell for a lot of years, and for the first year of being here, I cried myself to sleep every day, begging my parents to go back. I'm really grateful that we stayed and that I got through all of those challenges because it has made me a really strong person. And I'm only starting to appreciate that now.
Children from all over the world come to this country every day. As the 2016 elections approach, we need to have a discussion as a country about whether or not we believe that being more welcoming to immigrants will make us stronger as a country.
We are a country built on immigrants, but people seem to forget that, and I think people are not taking into consideration all the things that our country benefits from having a diverse population.
Certainly, we want to have a system in place that is regulated, that there is a process, because absolutely there's fear of bringing in people who are threats to public safety, who are threats to national security, terrorists and all that. All of those are very reasonable, rational fears. However, that's why we need to have a functioning process that exists.
I think it's great when there's a room full of different people with different perspectives and experiences. I think that's what makes our country rich, and it's exciting. When I was in Poland, I didn't know that there was different cultures of people or different religions. I just thought things were one certain way. And then I came here, and there's so much the whole world is represented in this country, and it's really kind of special.